Welcome back to Gateway to Growth. What a fantastic morning that we've had, hearing from brands, from Alibaba's leaders and China consumer experts. Don't forget that you can pose your questions for our expert panel by using the Slido button, which is to the right of your screen. We'll get as many answers for you as possible in the final session of the day. But first, let's take a look at what the afternoon holds for us. We're now going to hear from a brand that has had huge success in the Chinese market. Back in 2015, Vitabiotics launched on Alibaba's mother and baby store and have not looked back since. I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by Tej Lalvani, the CEO of Vitabiotics, and also Benji Lam. Benji's the China director for Vitabiotics, and ask them all about their experience and success in the Chinese market. So Tej, let's come to you first. I want to talk about the company. It's such a fantastic success story, particularly here in the UK. I'm wondering though, with that in mind, why the need, or indeed why the desire to export out of the UK when you've had so much success here over the last 50 years?
Hi, Hannah. Great question. Well, Vitabiotics has always been one to grow the business internationally, and the idea is to get our products in as many hands, people worldwide to benefit from them. And China's always been on my radar to grow the business in. And of course, back then you had the one-child per family rule, which obviously is extended to 2 now and more. So at that point, it's very important to realize that people played an important nutrition for children and at the time of education for them. So we thought pregnant care would be a great brand to resonate with the Chinese customer. And of course, they'd obviously heard about it from the UK because we're very high profile over here. And it sort of began to gain a bit of momentum. And so we want to really build our brand in the market.
Obviously, it's a big market as well. It must have had quite a lot of appeal.
Of course, I mean, there's no question about that. One of the largest markets, and it was about doing it in the right way. That was important to really grow the brand organically to get that customer reception.
Now, Tej, I understand that you launched your first Tmall store some 5 years ago. So talk me through then that process over the 5 years. Has it been a bumpy road, perhaps a few surprises along the way?
Well, initially we wanted to enter the market by working with a distributor. And because of the type of products that we've got, food supplements, they require registration through the Ministry of Health. And that takes a lot of time. So the best alternative we found was the cross-border scenario whereby we set up a store on Tmall. So we looked for local companies that could support us with this and found a company to partner with who would get us online, get our products on there, and we would warehouse them in a bonded warehouse and they would ship them directly into the country. So that's how it started, initially working with someone locally. But my long-term plan was always to set up our own unit and office there.
And what would you say were the most profound surprises that you've experienced over the course of the last 5 years?
I think it's interesting how different cultures are when we export to many different countries, and you look at in the Middle East, Asia, in China in particular. So understanding that customer, and we work with the local marketing company who help build the brand digitally for us, creating the content on the various social media platforms. And so how it was done differently and the way things work was always an interesting and fascinating aspect to see what really worked there is very different to what may work in the UK, for instance.
Tej, you famously advise and invest in many brands in Dragon's Den. If you had SME businesses coming to you in the den right now, what would you say to them about the opportunity in China?
Well, I would say it's a lot easier than people think, and I think it's better to get in sooner than later because China is becoming a lot more competitive. You're getting a lot more international brands out there, and with the idea of cross-border e-commerce, Tmall Global, it's a great platform to be able to get your products on there. There's already traffic coming on that website. And so you can just get out there. There's not much, you don't have to deal with the logistics, the payments, etc. It's all managed for you. I think it's a good way to test whether your brand is working out there and then look at the various different marketing aspects. I mean, for us, we worked with a marketing agency, and then we decided when we understood really what the ways to target the customer, then we set up our own office out there to grow and build, and we actually launched a second store on Tmall as well.
And what about Alibaba? How would you say Alibaba has supported you at Vitabiotics through the course of the last 5 years?
Well, it's been a fantastic platform to work with because it's sort of a whole ecosystem which takes care of everything. You don't have to worry about the payment issues, the logistics and warehousing, and how you work promotions on the site. So it provides all that for you, especially since you're not on the ground, to be able to manage it effectively, and especially working with a TP to be able to do that work for you. So I think it's a great way to dip your toe into the Chinese market and in fact scale it from there, because you can do it. And Alibaba's been great to work with in promotion days such as Double 11 and the other ones that they have mid-year. So working out what type of marketing aspects work well, whether it's the live streaming that you have with certain key opinion leaders, and we work very well now with a lot of the key opinion leaders locally to bring awareness to our products.
When it comes to tailoring your products specifically for the market in China, has Alibaba been specifically useful when it comes to that?
Yes, in terms of what works and what doesn't work, and that knowledge is very important in terms of how you put the messaging forward on the Tmall global website. So that saves you a lot in terms of trying to attract the customer, in terms of resources. So I think they've been a great resource, and if there's been any small issues we've had, we've been able to pick up the phone and speak to the right people to help us out. So that's always useful, because when you're dealing with people in a different country, different language, sometimes that can be quite daunting. But fortunately, this has been the right thing, and the idea for us now is to build brand by brand in China through the Tmall platform and the rest of Asia.
Tej, for smaller companies that often would come into the Dragon's Den to ask for advice and investment, what would you say are your top tips then for breaking into the China market?
Well, breaking into the China market, I think for brands coming in, it's really about establishing what you do and your branding and understanding what works and doesn't work. And especially when you're working digitally, you can measure things very quickly and very easily with a small amount of money. And because there's so many different areas and platforms, whether it's search engines like Baidu or working with key opinion leaders, or the various social media platforms from Weibo, etc., it's dipping your toe in each of them and seeing what's generating the return on investment, and then sort of doubling down later on when you know what works and how it does work. But I'm a great believer of trying to experiment with as little resources as possible until you figure out what's working.
Now, presumably British brands do really well in China because there's such an appeal around them. Would you say that's fair to say, that they just land better in China?
Absolutely. I think the Chinese customer has a great affinity for British brands. In fact, we've won the Queen's Award twice for innovation, for Pregnacare and Perfectil, also for international trade. So that's been a great part in building our brand and creating the awareness out there, focusing on the Queen's Award. Because, with that, you can really generate trust in the local market. People trust brands that you've affiliated and partnered with. So I suggest try and partner with UK established entities so that the customer in China can trust you from day one. And we found that really works to help grow our brand.
What's next then for Vitabiotics in China?
Well, my mission is to really grow the business from where it is at the moment. And of course, we've got our second store on Tmall, but really where I want to get now is on the ground, physically in store, which means creating products and packaging with a local language, registering them with the Ministry of Health. And I think that was the beauty with working with Tmall cross-border, was I didn't have to invest in changing all the packaging because we've got hundreds of products. Now I understand what really works well. So hopefully working with a local partner who's got a distribution with pharmacy chains, and then work with them to launch it nationally.
Tej, you've mastered the UK over the last 50 years. You've now broken into China. What's next?
Of course, expanding internationally is a key strategy for us. And I think today, with the advent of digital, it's a lot easier to enter into markets. Previously, we'd hire an exclusive distributor. We'd understand how they're on the ground in terms of the sales team, getting into relationships with the pharmacies and supermarkets, and that takes a lot of time, and it's margin heavy, and also in terms of payment, because that takes longer to get your money with credit in the market. Whereas working digitally and direct to consumer is a great way to test it. It's cash flow positive for you. So we're looking at partnering with Lazada for Southeast Asia, for Malaysia, Singapore. We're already working with partners out there to launch our products in the next month or two. So we're really excited about building our brand internationally with the same, replicating the model that we've done in China with Tmall Global out there with Lazada.
Tej Lalvani, CEO of Vitabiotics, thank you so much. I'm joined now by Benji Lam, who is the China Director for Vitabiotics. Benji, great to have you with us.
Hello, Hannah. Lovely to be here.
And in your role then as China Director, Benji, you've built and led Vitabiotics team on the ground in China. Last year, I understand the business on Tmall Global grew 30% year on year. So what did you do then to power that growth in the market?
It's a great question. Firstly, it's an absolute pleasure to build and lead that team. In a top-line sense, we opened our second store in the healthcare category on Tmall. We built a dedicated China team on the ground. We've increased focus on live streaming and influencers. And of course, we've entered a strategic partnership with Alibaba, allowing us to forge closer relationships with the Tmall Global teams in the UK and China, respectively. Powering that growth, we're very lucky to have Tej's high-level support. He's just outlined his vision, and that's a driving force for us. And I see myself and my role as actualizing that vision on the ground. That's a question really of internal culture and prioritization. Take logistical timelines. We're prioritizing key commerce dates: 25th of March, 18th of June, 11/11, of course. And for our internal culture, that starts to become as important as Black Friday or Christmas sale. So we're syncing our calendar to China commerce. And the reality is that the size of this market demands that senior attention, whether that be on logistics, supply, product timelines, marketing, human resources. And, just to be frank, it's a key recovery market. Plus 30% YOY last year, targeting plus 60% YOY this year. We're powering growth through understanding. My story, I went to Shanghai as an English teacher, then worked e-commerce agency side with a whole host of brands before joining Vitabiotics. So we started from zero, and I understand SMEs may feel overwhelmed by the scale of a market like this, but you kind of learn not to be overwhelmed by the opportunity. You relish the challenge, you test, you make mistakes, and you adapt. And if there's a key take-home for SMEs, it's that this mountain is climbable. And for us, there has been a real blueprint for growth on Ali.
Well, that's really good to hear. And I love the fact that you started as an English teacher and worked your way up into the high echelons of e-commerce. Now, you started at Vitabiotics with a Tmall store in the mother and baby category. Then you launched into the second one in health. So what tools would you say you've used to better understand your potential customer base in China?
Yeah, interesting question. There's a lot of learnings from the mother-baby category initially, which really drove us to launch in the healthcare category. We spearheaded our entry in 2015 with Pregnant Care, 90% plus market share in the UK, very strong international reputation. And we supported that with SKU products like Well Baby, Well Kid. And then in 2020, we launched in healthcare. So well-known lines like Well Man, Well Woman, Ferroglobin, and surprising hero products like Vision Ace, which is an eye care lutein-based product. And we found a localized, younger, millennial, savvy audience that were focusing on prevention rather than cure at a younger age. And when we're understanding these consumers, we're looking at analytical tools that are integrated within Alibaba. So, for example, Brand Data Bank. This allows us to test and react in real time and look at consumer data by segment. And that depth of insight that you have in China e-commerce is frankly phenomenal. It's unsurpassed for me in any other country in the world. So there's that range of tools integrated within Ali. And then I guess it's an obvious point, but kind of humans care about your brand success. So, everyone talks about data analytics, media buying mechanisms, ROI. But we have category manager support. So these are senior experts in their categories, in their fields within Alibaba, They're connecting us with live streamers, for example, giving us strategic advice on product launch recommendations. And, I've been very lucky to sit down in Hangzhou with those experts where they give insights on what's performing on the platform. So, as a brand and on a personal level, I'm very immensely appreciative of their support.
Yeah, and Benji, Tej spoke to us earlier about the importance of brand Britain in China, talking about the Queen's Awards as well that Vitabiotics has earned. How does that translate then into your brand marketing in China?
Yeah, well, I'm super enthusiastic about Brand Britain. There's such a strong appeal to Brand Britain. Our work with the DIT, Department of Trade, has been important here. We've been involved, with the UK Food is Great stand at some major expos. But we dial up on our UK identity in a sense, GB flag, GB family models, etc. And we use iconic British scenes in our official Tmall flagship stores. But we also work to fuse this with Chinese culture, and this is what really interests me. So, for example, we take Chinese solar terms and we customize and we apply them to our own product and wellness range. We take those iconic British scenes and we reimagine them in a hand-painted, hand-drawn Chinese style. We've developed our own China brand symbol, Xiaovi, a British tawny owl, very popular mechanism in Asia for communicating with consumers. And we've got video series such as Fall in Love with British Culture, which is a humorous piece with a Buckingham Palace guard having fun in some Chinese cities. So we play with it, and it's really good fun. I really enjoy this element, and we're communicating that through our social media ecosystem, right? So Weibo, China's Twitter or microblog, WeChat, Weixin, so kind of long form articles, Red, which is an Instagram kind of cross with a shopping focus, and really pushing on the video side now. So Douyin, Youku, these kind of channels. It's super exciting, and the Brand Britain absolutely resonates with the Chinese consumer from my experience.
Yeah, your enthusiasm is infectious, I think, Benji. I'm sure so many people watching this will be suddenly given a kind of a huge boost of enthusiasm and energy as well to kind of like take on this market that might have seemed a bit closed off to them beforehand. Now, beyond Tmall, for example, Vitabiotics also partners with a number of the businesses across Alibaba's ecosystem. So how would you sort of describe the support that you've had from Alibaba along the way?
It's really valuable to have that interconnected ecosystem. So just for example, we work with Alipay. With Alipay, we're receiving cross-border payments. We're allocating in-platform Tmall ad spend, paying Tmall fees. Working with Tainao, Alibaba's logistics arm, we're shipping product to bonded warehouse. We're using an overspill warehouse capacity. And Tainao is managing delivery to consumers in mainland China. Alibaba Cloud is super interesting in terms of kind of in-platform data optimization. So that's kind of bespoke cloud data solutions for increasing, for our stores, we're all interested in CTR and conversion, right? So having those conversations, and if you're talking about Alibaba's ecosystem, you can't not mention Taobao, right? So this vast marketplace of China, China's eBay, if you will, and tapping into that, our wholesalers, sailors, and our distributors have performed really well within the Taobao ecosystem. And then different media channels like Kaolaj and Busan, where we can target different size, different tiered cities in different regions around the country. And I just have to mention David Lloyd's Alibaba UK team, because they've been so immensely supportive of the brand, and it's so appreciated. And thank you for that.
That is really good to hear. Just very, very briefly, Benji, if you were to share one golden nugget piece of advice to other people watching this about your experience of doing business in China, what would that bit of advice be?
I've got 4, but I'll be really, really brief. Cheeky, I know. 1, leave your ego at the door. Listen to talent on the ground. We run our China operations as a very bottom-up operation. We've got immense respect for all our loyal teams on the ground. You need the voices, the insights, the experience, and just listen to people on the ground. Build trusted relationships with your TPs, with your trade partners. Alibaba, Tmall can provide a list of verified TPs with relevant experience in your category. When you can, build a China team. We chose Chengdu. It's got a large university talent pool, less fiercely competitive, but build that team on the ground. And I think particularly throughout COVID-19, have confidence in your product. Vitabiotics, we're a premium brand, UK's #1 vitamins. We manufacture to pharmaceutical quality. And I just see it as a great opportunity. They're a good brand run by good people, good intentions, good products. And we can just get that out there and really connect with Chinese consumers on a deeper level. And I guess have that passion and that interest in the market is 99% of this for me.
Benji, that's really great advice. Benji Lam and also Tej Lavani, the top team at Vitabiotics. It's wonderful to have you at this event. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your event. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, now up next is a session about a topic that many of us are excited to hear about. We've heard a bit about it already.